So what's the description of this one here you're talking about?
This is out of cherry wood, and it's there's a limb that was out of Cordray's, the sculptor I worked with, and it was big enough to make a carving out of. So I took the limb and brought it home and did the carving.
It was a tree limb.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And it was big enough around here
Yeah.
to do the carving. And usually when I'm doing a carving out of wood, they usually have splits and checks and everything. And I go into the wood and get rid of all the bad that I see into it, can't be part. And then I decide what am I going to do with the piece.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have any wormholes and everything.
Mm-hmm. What about this one? What's the story on this one right here?
This is Guanacosta. Sorry. I have it here. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's right.
Guanacosta, I do. Guanacosta over marble. And this is completely abstract, but it's fun to look at, but each side is a little different. Not really symmetrical, just how I felt it should go with the grain. Saving this little spot because it's nice.
Which one? Oh yeah, that's real pretty.
Yeah. That's when I did the lignin vitae piece out of, which is lignin vitae is ironwood. And it was one of my earlier carvings. And it was a set of lovers, and it's called Adam and Eve. And they were hugging each other. And but it's Adam and Eve in the garden. So I have a lot of subject matters on that and how it all was beginning, all life beginning. Like this is a good example here. Mm-hmm. This is granite, bronze, oak, and granite, same granite again, up on top. And you see it's sort of a woven figure, but the name of the piece is the seed. And the seed is the empty spot that's not there. So this is my endeavor to do abstract work. But this was early on. This is an earlier piece, but it's neat, I think. Mm-hmm. This back here is a study for that Madonna over there. And when I started these, there was two smaller sizes, one out of a walnut, one out of bronze. So if I have a bronze piece, I have a mold, so I can pour more bronze pieces. Of course, those smaller pieces sell pretty fast because they're cheaper. It's not as much labor. And
show me this one, the wooden one over here, the Madonna.
This is one of my first. This is walnut, and it's one of my first pieces of wood carving. That
it spins around too.
Yeah, you see the turntable down there. It's out of two different pieces of wood. You'll see it if you're looking hard enough to see the lines where they join together.
This is abstract too. It's
sort of in ways. A lot of my pieces are, like this here is a bronze piece. And it's sort of abstract, but you look at it and say it's a woman. But this was a cut from one of my other molds that I did, and you'll see down at the other end of the gallery where this mold came from. But I take it and cut it out when it's in the wax. And then I usually put 2 or 3 of these different kinds in men or whatever, and poured them in bronze with the sculptures being the sprues. So I'd have the sprue going down the middle and go off to all the different sculptures. So when you pour it, the cup would be up here, pour the bronze, it would go down, hit the bottom, and fill everything up that's in the void. So that's the bronze process. So, but that's what out of one mold, I probably did 12 different pieces of work, changing all the time. But
and show me the wooden Madonna back here behind you.
Okay.
Right here. Look at this guy.
This is Cristobal wood. And that's these are from Costa Rica. And when I got these, you see it's the Madonna. Well, there's a turntable on it. But right in here is Paduke. This is a piece of Paduke wood. But when I was carving it, I kept going down in it, hoping to get rid of the rotten place where a limb came out.
Oh, wow.
And so I carved a piece of Paduke, and I put it in there. It was pretty much the same. And sometimes at different angles, with the light is different. you won't see this either. It sort of fade and, it changes too. But this is, I bought it in Costa Rica, and it was, they had a big bandsaw mounted on a rail car, and they would run the big logs on the rail car through the bandsaw to make different thicknesses of slabs of wood. These were cut-off pieces that I got down there, and I bought this and another one or it might have been just this one, at the lumber yard where they had blocks sitting up there that they weren't going to use, but they're savable for people like me, a sculptor. So they bundled it up, put a handle on it and everything, and I brought it back from Costa Rica, one of our humanitarian missions that we went on with the eyewear people, that we issued glasses to different people in Costa Rica that didn't have a lot of money. So anyway, we'd go down there and we'd work half a day issuing sunglasses and take not sunglasses, but we'd work probably half the time and go out and see the sights the other half of the time. So it was beneficial to us all.
The whole time the Pope is behind us praying. Do you see this behind you? Like we're talking
Yes. This is my dad's piece. This is a bronze piece out of
and who's next to
transported
him?
in Italy.
Who's next to him there?
The next one in here is my mother, Angie. And I have a piece out of plaster. And what did I do? Yes, it was out of plaster. It's in the closet over there. And anyway, I made a mold of that piece, which was damaged, and poured this in bronze. I have a permanent piece, that would never go away. These are bronze too. These are all my father's, across here, all the way back in here. Right there, even that cat. No, that cat does not belong to me. I mean, yes, to
It's a cat.
was not made by my dad. So here it comes around here, and these are all Charles Umlauf works. This is my sister Lynn that just passed away. This was out of her loft. Dad did studies on all the kits, so we all have sculptures here and there of us. This is another big bronze, and this looks like my brother Tom. His face, that's his face. So that Dad's using anything around him as models. The rooster in the corner, that's fired terracotta. You see sort of the reddish here and there. That's the terracotta coming through. It has a slip on it. When we were kids, we had roosters and ducks and chickens. And so Dad did several different types of roosters. He did paintings up there. I think it's upstairs. I have one painting of a rooster. But anyway, this goes on down here to the hippo, and this is a very popular piece of my father's that sold very well. This being terracotta, this is the original. So I think any time you have the original one, it's the more expensive because it's the original piece where my dad worked on this. And when he got it in a certain state, he would make a mold of it, pour it in plaster, and take it over to Pietrasanta in Italy, and they would pour more of them. But that was when it's in the foundry, they're doing all the work. They're doing all the spruing, modeling in clay after they make a mold of it, and they point it up to a larger size. And usually this take 2 or 3 time shifts or size shifts, because you can make one and you have to point it up to make it larger, and you have to point that one up to make it larger again. So some of these pieces, here, like this is Hope for Humanity. This is Hope for Humanity, and this was done for Houston, and out in front of one of the museums, the Humanitarian Museum. I don't know if you get all my terminology right, but that's out of terracotta. So this was his favorite clay to work in, the terracotta. This is another one. So these are joints. There's a Hope for Humanity, but he did 2 different ones and took just different positions of the bodies, and to make the Hope for Man. This is the one that won out. This is the one that's in
front of the
Houston Planetarium. That's what it was.
Planetarium. Yeah.
And so this is my dad's studies, and this is all of what you see over here. You'll see other ones, and this is Christ and child. He has one that's Christ and the children, and I think one my brother Madeline has that one. But anyway, this is where he studied for to make another piece out of bronze, and that would be turned into the mold. They make usually he'd make a mold of it out of plaster, and then pour into that mold another plaster of the original piece. Ship that over to Pietrasanta, where they would scale it up to bigger sizes, or do it in bronze or whatever they need to do. So that sort of explains that. This is interesting here. This is a terracotta piece that is mother and child. This Christ and child and this mother and child. This is really good because of this piece right here. It's related. Same year time, back in the 40s. So this is the mother and child. And he did it in pastel.
Wow.
It's a great piece here. This is the old snake. I remember this when we grew up in our living room. The snake was hanging there all the time.
Can I see the snake one?
Yeah. You have one of the snakes too in your house. That would
Does it have glass over it? Is it? Oh yeah, it's glass. Good. Yeah.
And it's trying to preserve it.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is, I would go through all these, but these are other things that I got through the years. These are just prints. I better not take it off.
Yeah.
It'd be too much to put back on. This same here, these are prints. Now this is a regular drawing. This is the regular drawing. They're not prints. This is pastels and charcoal.
That's pretty.
Yeah. This is I remember he always had a niggers he taught life drawing. So they used, I remember walking in on life drawing when I was probably about 7, and Mom was outside in the car, says, go in and tell Dad we're here. So I went in, and here's this nigger standing up there completely nude. And I looked, and then I walked out. I sort of got a glimpse, saw my dad somewhere in the room. And he says, Arthur, where are you going? I just kept walking until I got out of the classroom because there's nude women's up on top on the pedestal. So here's another one of the niggers. But he's teaching life drawing. This is where this comes from when you're doing life drawing. Watercolor. These are all earlier works. Oh, look at that. Isn't that sweet? That's those earlier works in the 40s. Some rice paper. But anyway, you can see we have more stacks of it. And more over there.
Yeah.
Right. This little piece here is one of the recent things from what I'm carving now that sort of was flaked off in the back. They're sort of when the stone was being made. This is honeycomb calcite. It evolved. You know, stone, the different materials in the ground go together to make granite. Well, first it'd be alabaster and then some marbles, and then get down to the nitty gritty, it'd be granite. That's the hardest stone. So this is honeycomb calcite. And this is like sort of off-fall of a piece I'm working on. But I liked it. And I did that and put it in this piece of cherry wood. This is sort of make the off-fall. You can sort of see it there. See, there it is. That was on the back of, I got one big piece and I cut it in half, and this is on the back of one of them.
Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah, it is. I was trying to make something else with it, but it kept flaking off. So I had to stop somewhere. Well, I still had something to use. And I still got another one of these that I can do up like that. Debating what I want to do with it. See, this is sort of fracture line here and a fracture line there. So this is sort of one here. And that's when you're using a chisel, and you can see the fracture lines over here. And there's that main one. when using the chisel, air chisel. Who's that?
I hear it purring.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I got a good synopsis of everything here. So
This is life is like the ocean, and this was pulled out of a piece in 550 Bluff Park, close to Birmingham, when I was redoing the kitchen. And this piece of metal is on the floor, going in between the kitchen and the living room, under the carpet.
wow.
So I took this piece and cut it out, and this is, as you see, the waves in it. And life is like an ocean, like the ocean, is when you get caught in the riptide, you should take it easy and go with it, and it will release you. And so this is what this means. So I'm a representation artist, and this is what everything has a meaning, whether you can see it or not. Sometimes I explain it, it makes sense.
Yeah. Look at it. I remember this guy was part of a big piece of wood you cut.
Yeah, that's a piece of redwood that I got from Dad. Now there's three of those hanging here. This is different colors. You see, like Christ and the two thieves.